One that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
I do think they come back, and I think they win this game, but they've got to do it decisively. I think they've got to get that confidence back because they went out there, and like I said earlier, Kentucky almost beat Georgia. Kentucky almost did beat Ole Miss, and I think what you're going to see in this conference, if you don't play well and you're a top 10 team in the SEC, you're going to get knocked out by one of those top 25 teams in the SEC if you're not ready to play.
Powered by SportsGrid.
Guardians, despite being at home in the land, were a home underdog against Tarek Skubal. Enter Lane Thomas, maybe one of the under-the-radar trade deadline acquisitions being dealt from the Nationals. He was huge in the ALDS.
A heavy favorite for the New York Yankees in the series. You're going to look to their best two ball players to be those MVPs. That's Juan Soto and it's Aaron Judge.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome to hour number 2, live right here on this Tuesday on the Early Line on SportsGrid. He is Drew Ranieri. I am Ben Stevens. 2 more hours to go and so much to dive into. Joe, one of the beautiful things about Tuesday, 1 week comes to a close in the National Football League. That was week 7. The opening third of this NFL campaign. A new week is on the horizon. The guys back in the facility, coaches in front of microphones before we get into practice starting tomorrow. So many updates to bring you around the National Football League. We've got game 2 tonight of the American League Championship Series in the Bronx between the Yankees and the Guardians. It's Tanner Bybee and it's Garrett Cole. The Pinstripes a hefty home favorite. Can they take a 2-0 series lead to the land, or will Bybee outdeal Cole and the Guardians even up this set at a game apiece? Our guy Jack McMullen will join us later on in this second hour for all of our October questions around MLB playoff baseball. So much to get into here, Joe, in this second hour, with one more hour on the other side up until 11 a.m. Eastern.
Yeah, no, it's going to be interesting here. I mean, especially in this game coming up with the Yankees and the Guardians. You can't go down 2-0 if you're the Guardians, I think, and realistically expect to get this thing back to 7 games, 6 or 7 games. I just don't see that happening. So I think this is, I don't want to say must win, but I do feel like with your ace on the mound, this is going to be the game they have to win.
Yeah, big time. And Tanner Bybee is that ace, right? Everybody still standing has gone through some sort of injury attrition. But, of course, Shane Bieber, the former American League Cy Young winner, was out from the very early juncture of this year for the Guardians. All right, NFL news now around the National Football League. Joe, in the closing minutes of our show yesterday, I shared this update, but it is worth a lengthier discussion. Tua Tagovailoa still on injured reserve. His football future has been in question. We haven't really heard from Tagovailoa. We have heard from Mike McDaniel as he has asked just everybody to give the Tagovailoa family and the Dolphins organization time and space to make this crucial decision. For the first time, McDaniel meeting with the media after the Dolphins bye week yesterday, saying that Tua Tagovailoa is expected to play once again in 2024. Tua remains on injured reserve, but is eligible to return a week from tomorrow. His practice window opens up. He could return to the football field in a game anytime from that point and beyond. Again, Joe, I will just say this, right? We know 3 documented concussions for Tua Tagovailoa in the last 2+ years. But the decision, his future in football, is his and his family alone, in conjunction with the medical staff and, of course, Miami as an organization. So if he is going to return, we wish him the best. We'll see what it means for the Dolphins in actual games the remainder of the way.
I mean, listen, it is ultimately his call, right? No, you're not going to be surprised, right? You understand, as long as you understand the risks, Ben, of what's at stake here. If him and his family ultimately decide, if McDaniels and the organization decide it's worth the risk, then he will be eligible to be activated and to begin practicing on October 23rd at the earliest. Yep. The question is, Ben, is it too late at that point? Are the Dolphins at that point pretty much eliminated from any sort of postseason opportunity? And then is it worth him coming back in any way, shape, or form?
Yeah, Joe, it is really interesting, right? So Miami off the bye last week. They had eked out a victory over the Patriots in Foxborough, 15-10 in week number 5. The offense has looked atrocious, whether it's Skylar Thompson or Snoop Huntley. The Wonder Boy and Mike McDaniel has not risen to the occasion like some of his peers and buddies have to work with less to make something even look prolific on the offensive side. But Miami is 2-3. And we'll discuss their overall outlook in a second. But here is what they have before Tagovailoa can even return a week from tomorrow. They take on the Indianapolis Colts on Sunday on the road in Indy. The Colts, a 3.5-point home favorite. The week following, they take on the Arizona Cardinals. Tua Tagovailoa could technically play in that game. We'll see. We did learn, Joe, a couple of weeks ago that despite how scary the incident was in week 2, short week Thursday night football game against Buffalo, pretty quickly after, Tua Tagovailoa was not exhibiting any symptoms from a concussion, which was a good sign. We'll see if he's back to end out October, because the following week is a matchup against the Buffalo Bills in a crucial divisional game.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, absolutely huge. But you've got, fingers crossed here that this is all going to work out. But I thought for sure, Ben, they would have been able to rack up a couple of more wins. I did not anticipate them being this poor without him on the field. And, by the time the 23rd comes around this month, who knows what can happen here. But if you're the Dolphins, you got to start planning for the future, don't you? Regardless, minus Tua at some point.
And Joe, that's the interesting thing, right? Where you're kind of in that limbo area. You have just given Tua Tagovailoa a very, very large contract extension, a little bit more than $53 million before this year got underway. So you are contractually tied to your quarterback, who you hope, if he can remain healthy, is the future of the franchise. But as we have often said, this is not a shoulder, it's not an elbow, it's not a knee, it's not an ankle, it's not a hip. It's a head injury. And there is still so much uncertain around the future beyond this year if Tua Tagovailoa comes back and how healthy he remains. And if it's not going to be Tua, because again, a couple of more injuries, maybe just one more head injury, could sideline him for the remainder of his career. We don't really want to project out like that, but it just kind of is the reality. The Dolphins then are left in this limbo and gray area where you've got a lot of offensive pieces in Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, and you've got Devon Achane in the backfield. You've got all these pieces that should be successful, and you are not in Mike McDaniel's third year. Joe, the good thing, though, is for Miami, we expected the AFC East to be a gauntlet of a division. It's not. The Bills are the only team with a winning record. We expected the AFC as a whole to be a gauntlet of a conference. Heck, it was going to take you 10, maybe 11 wins to even earn a wild card berth in this conference. It is not so far. There are only 6 teams after week 6 out of the 16 in the AFC that have a winning record. And Joe, only 5 of those 6 are multiple games above 500 or better. So even at 2-3, even you could lump in the New York Jets or the Bengals, both at 2-4, who had playoff optimism before the year. There is still a hope in this conference, even after a sub-500 beginning.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you're going to have to, all these teams have done now, the Jets, the Dolphins, the Bengals, is here we are sitting right in the middle of October, and all room for error goes right out the window, Ben. So the only thing you can do is just keep winning games and see, and hopefully things will break your way and other teams will come back to the pack. But right now, the room for error on any of these 2-win teams is slim to absolutely none at this point.
Joe, when you look at the AFC playoff odds right now, we've got the divisional winners that are very hefty favorites, or the divisional favorites, I should say, that are hefty favorites to win their division, hefty favorites to see the postseason. The Chiefs in the AFC West, the Texans in the AFC South, the Ravens currently in the AFC North, and, of course, the Buffalo Bills in the AFC East. The only non-divisional favorite or team in first place that has a minus or 2 minus money prices are the Steelers at minus 144 and the Chargers at minus 134. The Bengals have the 7th best price at plus 114. The Bengals are 2-4, but that 7th best price would be what would then correspond to the 7th spot in the conference standings in those playoff odds. We'll continue to go around the NFL next. Guardians, despite being at home in the land, were a home underdog against Tarek Skubal. Enter Lane Thomas, maybe one of the under-the-radar trade deadline acquisitions being dealt from the Nationals. He was huge in the ALDS.
A heavy favorite for the New York Yankees in the series. You're going to look to their best 2 ball players to be those MVPs. That's Juan Soto and it's Aaron Judge.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
You can't sometimes look at the point spreads and just, understand what they mean. Because going into the game, you're looking at it, it's like, okay, Denver's playing better football. They won a couple in a row, and now they're going back home.
The Broncos have to turn around and play on a short week. Sean Payton is returning to New Orleans. The Saints just gave up almost 600 yards of offense to the Buccaneers. So it's going to be interesting kind of gut check.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Some news around the National Football League bright and early on this Tuesday following the end of Week 6. Of course, the New York Jets have meant drama for the last 20 months, whether it's Aaron Rodgers' on-field performances or guys still trying to get in the facility. That's Hassan Reddick, who the Jets traded for in the offseason, who has been holding out, who is not suited up for Gang Green yet during his time as technically a member of this New York organization. Over the weekend, Hassan Reddick changed representation, now signing with famed sports agent Drew Rosenhaus. The Jets, according to The Athletic's Diana Rossini, have given Reddick and his reps a short window to seek yet another trade. Drew Rosenhaus reportedly has been reaching out to organizations over the last 12 hours or so to gauge interest into Hassan Reddick. It's weird, Joe, to say that Hassan Reddick could be a difference maker for a team he has never even played a single snap for. So I'm not sure how much Jets fans are like, oh man, we miss that guy or want that guy. But he is a playmaker defensively. He has had double-digit sacks each of the past 4 years in the NFL. Where do you think Hassan Reddick ends up, if at all, anywhere this season?
Well, the guy had 1 year left on the contract when he was traded from Philadelphia. He says he was promised a multi-year deal. The Jets say that's not what we promised. We told you we would guarantee you $14.5 million, give you a 1 year deal, and basically give you an opportunity to re-sign you or you become a free agent in 2025. And yet now he's $5 million in the hole because he hasn't reported. He keeps getting docked through the first 6 weeks of the season. CAA goes, see you, dude. Like, we ain't making any money here. You're not even willing to budge. And now Drew Rosenhaus steps in, and somehow Rosenhaus is supposed to be able to get, I don't think the Jets to come to the table. I think he's got to convince Hassan Reddick that, listen, man, you got to show, nobody is going to give you a multi-year deal without you having played a snap now. And how long? It ain't going to happen. So the question to me is whether Rosenhaus can get Hassan Reddick to get all his money back that he's lost, guarantee his $14.5 million this year, and give him an opportunity to sign at the end of the year. Because if I'm the Jets, why am I giving him a multi-year deal? I've not seen him play a down of football yet. Plus, he's 30 years old here. Makes no sense for the Jets at all at this point.
Joe, you mentioned this as we were breaking down the game. The Jets are still the second best total defense in the NFL in terms of yardage allowed, 273. They're really good against the pass. Josh Allen did go over his prop last night, but only 215 yards despite being 19 of 25 clean and efficient football. They have not been great against the run either this year or a year ago. Sweet baby Ray Davis, the rookie out of Kentucky, 20 carries last night, 97 yards. Ty Johnson, 4 carries for 34 yards. Ray Davis, the rookie, 55 yards through the air as well as a receiver last night. Listen, I don't think the Jets' defense is the reason they are on a 3-game losing skid. Hassan Reddick would benefit the Jets, you would think, just from an impact perspective on the defensive side of the football. He would probably make some sort of impact. But, Joe, again, it's just kind of further into the drama the Jets have seen. They traded for a guy that wanted a new contract in Philadelphia. The Eagles said, despite him being close to home, having grown up in Camden, New Jersey, playing his college football at Temple, being a key component of a Philly team that made the Super Bowl 2 seasons prior, the Eagles said, listen, man, we're not paying you, but go ahead. We'll try to work with you to find a trade partner. The Jets are like, hey, pick us. But Hassan Reddick's like, okay, great, I want a new contract, and yet the two sides have remained this far apart. You can blame whoever you want. It just goes to show it's another weird deal the Jets front office has been a part of in many. We'll see where Hassan Reddick ends up, if at all, this year. All right, Joe, now elsewhere around the National Football League, there hasn't been many worse quarterbacks in the NFL over the past 3 seasons than Deshaun Watson. And I'm not just saying that from what my eyes see or the guy's character based on his performance. Stefanski yesterday, that's head coach Kevin Stefanski of this Browns organization, meeting with the media, reiterating that he believes Deshaun Watson gives them the best chance to win Sunday. And he is sticking with his quarterback. Kevin Stefanski, we know you don't believe that. Joe Flacco led you guys to the postseason last year. It's the front office and it's the owner, Jimmy Haslam, saying, listen, I gave this guy $230 million fully guaranteed. He needs to be out there. He needs to earn his paycheck. And by earn, it means just play, not be good. Because, Joe, Deshaun Watson, calling him mediocre would be the highest compliment he has received in 2 years. This guy has been awful. When you look at the QBR for Watson this year, it is abysmal. It is 21.5 out of the 31 qualified quarterbacks in the NFL. That is dead last in his span in the National Football League over the last 3 years with Cleveland. He has been near the bottom of every single statistical category for NFL quarterbacks. It has been awful to see. In 6 games for the Browns this year, Cleveland is 1-5. Deshaun Watson has not thrown for more than 200 yards in any of those 6 games. Some of it is on him. Some of it is on the offensive line. Regardless, Joe, it has not worked, and Cleveland is in the gutter.
Well, it's just awful on so many levels here. I mean, it's historically awful. We're talking about also a quarterback now, and Deshaun Watson, that has been sacked 31 times. That is 11 more than the next closest quarterback who has been sacked. That is absolutely unbelievable through 6 weeks of the season here, Ben? No 300-yard offense game. No, nothing. They can't even score 20 points in a game. And again, we can blame him, sure. But when you have a quarterback getting sacked 31 times, you have got offensive issues here, a lot of offensive issues. And I don't know Jameis Winston's going to be any better. That's the sad part.
Yeah, I don't know where Cleveland goes from here, Joe, but another component of the AFC North and really the conference as a whole, where many thought this team was a playoff contender. The win total is now 4.5. 4.5 from 8.5 in the preseason. More around the NFL comes your way up next. Guardians, despite being at home in the land, were a home underdog against Tarek Skubal. Enter Lane Thomas, maybe one of the under-the-radar trade deadline acquisitions being dealt from the Nationals. He was huge in the ALDS.
A heavy favorite for the New York Yankees in the series. You're going to look to their best 2 ball players to be those MVPs. That's Juan Soto and it's Aaron Judge.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
You can't sometimes look at the point spreads and just, understand what they mean. Because going into the game, you're looking at it, it's like, okay, Denver's playing better football. They won a couple in a row, and now they're going back home.
The Broncos have to turn around and play on a short week. Sean Payton is returning to New Orleans. The Saints just gave up almost 600 yards of offense to the Buccaneers. So it's going to be interesting kind of gut check.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Elsewhere around football, both in the NFL and then some quarterback news in college football. Nick Sirianni, Joe, at the end of an Eagles win emerging out of a bye week as an 8.5-point favorite against Deshaun Watson and the Browns. They win the game 20-16. It was tied under 10 minutes remaining in regulation in the fourth quarter. Starts jawing with fans in the stands, pretty much getting mad at them for booing his stagnant offense midway through the game. After the game, he said that he was just excited for a win. Ha ha ha. It's Philadelphia. The fans hate the team and the players, but yeah, they still win, whatever it might be. Sirianni yesterday apologizing for his behavior. Quote, I was trying to bring energy yesterday, energy and enthusiasm, and I'm sorry and disappointed on how my energy was directed at the end of the game. My energy should be all in on coaching, motivating, celebrating with our guys. I've got to have better wisdom and discernment of when to use that energy, end quote. And then, after the game, he brings his kids with him to the podium, as he often does, making it difficult for the reporters to ask those hard-hitting questions. Joe, Philly is 3-2. The Philadelphia Eagles had the third best price to win the NFC, or fourth best price, rather, to win the NFC at this moment. They are a 3-2 team in the NFC East that is still booked as the favorites, even in front of the 4-2 Washington Commanders. And yet it is the least optimistic 3-2 football team off a win that you might ever see. There's not a lot of confidence right now that this Eagles team is destined to do what is the expectation. That's contend for a conference crown in the NFC.
There was maybe the most least authentic apology I have ever seen, Ben, ever. Sirianni, I can promise you this, not only is he not sorry, it's also not going to be the last time he does something like this. Let us not forget, he did this after a Kansas City Chiefs win back in week 11 last year, making sure that he went at the crowd in the stands there, telling them, see you later, and going after the fans. He does. That's who he is. How in the hell you're a head coach in the NFL and you are concentrated more on what they're saying in the stands than what's going on in the field may be part of the problem, Ben. But this is who he is. The idea that self-reflecting, you're not a 21-year-old rookie here, guy. You're a head coach of a National Football League, and you've done this before, and I'm telling you, Ben, he'll do it again when it matters the most. The next time, it'll probably be the last time that he's on the sidelines.
And the Eagles had the football, right? And they were trying to ice away the game,
Exactly.
but it wasn't necessarily like they were up 4 touchdowns. They were up 4 points in the final 3.5 minutes when he started jawing with the fans. Listen, if it does not work out this year in Philadelphia, see you, Nick Sirianni. You're no longer going to be there because there is not really one thing that you can point to as a CEO head coach where you're not involved in the offensive game plan, when you're not an offensive genius like LaFleur or Shanahan or McVay or a defensive gritty guy. They are going to cast you aside very quickly. The Eagles still a 3-2 football team, and again, the favorites to win the NFC East and earn that playoff berth, but it's not necessarily the easiest walk to that. Plus 120 the price on Philadelphia. Joe, is it the end of an era as we turn our attention now to college football? You feel awful for this guy. Utah's quarterback, Cam Rising. A lower leg injury released yesterday that will end his season. He did not play the entirety of last year after an ACL 2 years ago in the Rose Bowl against Penn State. Upon further evaluation, says his head coach Kyle Whittingham, Cam Rising's injury has unfortunately been deemed season-ending. Any future developments concerning his collegiate eligibility, will be released at a later date. Joe, because he has played less than 4 games this year, he is eligible to at least apply for a medical red shirt once again in an 8th year in college football. We shall see. It is a very difficult story for a guy oft injured during his time in college football.
Well, it's good news, Utah. It's now the Isaac Wilson era. Congratulations there. That should be great, Utah. Yeah. What is he, 25 now, Ben? He's already there 7 years, no?
Yep. 7 years. Yep. Utah, the preseason favorites in the Big 12. 18-1 to win the conference now. MLB playoff action next. Guardians, despite being at home in the land, were a home underdog against Tarek Skubal. Enter Lane Thomas, maybe one of the under-the-radar trade deadline acquisitions being dealt from the Nationals. He was huge in the ALDS.
A heavy favorite for the New York Yankees in the series. You're going to look to their best two ball players to be those MVPs. That's Juan Soto and it's Aaron Judge.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
You can't sometimes look at the point spreads and just, understand what they mean. Because going into the game, you're looking at it, it's like, okay, Denver's playing better football. They won a couple in a row. Now they're going back home.
The Broncos have to turn around and play on a short week. Sean Payton is returning to New Orleans. The Saints just gave up almost 600 yards of offense to the Buccaneers. So it's going to be interesting kind of gut check.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
One of the best in baseball here for some October baseball now in the LCS. In both the National League and the American League, Jack McMullen gets us straight for the action in the NLCS after Game 2 between the Mets and the Dodgers, ahead of Game 2 tonight in the Bronx between the Yankees and the Guardians. Jack, we appreciate the time, as always, doing great work for Just Baseball Media throughout this playoff run here on this Tuesday morning, bright and early on the Early Line. Jack McMullen, as always, thanks for your time.
Ben, I don't need a round of applause or anything, but I will say I'm out in Arizona right now for the Arizona Fall League. I typically get up at 9:30 for you guys because, it's Eastern time, Indianapolis. I did the 6:30 thing because I was like, any chance I get to talk to Ben Stevens is a chance I cannot let slip by. Is that fair?
Oh.
Hey, Joe, by the way, how you doing?
Yeah, nice to meet you. Jack, Joe, Jack, good to have you both here.
You laying it on thick this early, Jack. You laying it on real thick this early.
Joe, I mean, listen, it's the environment I try to cultivate here on TEL for all of our honored guests, and Jack McMullen is certainly that. Jack, you calling games out in the Arizona Fall League? What are you doing out there?
No, not calling games. Just watching a bunch of these prospects play ball, man. It's been really fun. We've seen this kid. Did you see the kid at Florida, Jack Caglione, this year? The two-way guy,
Jackie Cags. Yeah,
they called him Jack Tani, all that stuff. He's scrapping, pitching. It seems this guy is like the craziest physical specimen I've seen of a 21-year-old. But like we're getting looks at like a Caglione, Philly's top prospect Andrew Painter, 6'7" kid, can run it up to 100. Missed the last 2 years with Tommy John surgery. So seeing him now, this is I'm kind of in hog heaven prospect-wise out in Arizona, so this has been awesome.
Look at this guy, man. Never takes a day off, always on the future of Major League Baseball. Maybe those guys will be in a pennant chase at some point in their MLB careers. See that natural transition of the NLCS in game number 2 yesterday afternoon at the Ravine in downtown Los Angeles. The Dodgers win game 1 big, 9-0. They entered game 2, Jack, riding a 33-inning scoreless streak against their opposition. In the very first at-bat of game 2, Francisco Lindor says, ha, 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 nice historic streak. Here's a solo shot off Ryan Brazier. Mark Vientos ups him in the second with a grand salami, and the Mets never look back, evening up the National League Championship Series at a game all with a 7-3 win in game number 2. What did the Mets offensively do yesterday to tie this series at a game apiece?
They felt the heat, and they dealt with it within the kitchen. I think that's the most important thing, because if they do lie down in a bullpen game, and I know that Walker Buehler has struggled, and I know that Yoshinobu Yamamoto has not been entirely healthy, but if you go back to New York, if you go into the off day, the travel day, where you're boarding a cross-country flight down 2-0, that is demoralizing. And it had to happen right away, because the Dodgers had all of their leverage arms remaining. We talk about the high leverage guys, the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th inning guys. For the Dodgers, I'm talking about Blake Trinan, Michael Kopech.
Yeah.
Vesia is hurt at this point, but Evan Phillips was available as well. You turn to all of those guys, get the guys that aren't them early. And Francisco Lindor got Brazier, and Mark Vientos got Landon Knack, a rookie who has been in the starting rotation for the back half of the year for the LA Dodgers. So they got to the right guys. They made their presence felt early, which is exactly what they needed to do. And frankly, they needed to do it with homers. I like the whole stringing hits together thing. It's cool. It's fun. But, like, how about that solo shot to open the game? And you're right, Ben. It's like, that record you got here, like, not anymore. I don't know if they were an inning away or an out away from the all-time postseason record, because it was 33, and they were sitting on 33 flat. But the fact that, A, they didn't get that, and B, they were down from the jump, the Dodgers were down from the jump on that Lindor homer, meant absolutely everything to the New York Mets. And Sean Manaea with a shutdown first, and Manaea with a shutdown inning after the Vientos grand slam, I thought was absolutely everything.
I was mentioning to Ben earlier, Jack, that listen, Dave Roberts feels like he's been on the hot seat forever. But I don't envy what he's got to do to navigate this. I think if this was a best-of-5 series, we'd be having a different conversation about who came in that game yesterday. And none of those high-leverage guys would have been in the bullpen. They would have had to have come in. But it being a best-of-7, what choice does he have? I mean, how does he navigate as this series moves on with these arms and the lack of lefties? I mean, it's enviable. It really is. I mean, I wish him all the best. I don't know that he can pull it off.
Who's on a more perpetual hot seat? Real quick question for you guys. Dave Roberts or Ryan Day at Ohio State? Like, both those guys. It's like, if you lose one, you might be done.
Yeah.
Like,
I think both. Jack,
gotta
it's
be
the same
Dave
thing,
Roberts,
though, right? It's national championship or World Series or bust. And if you fall short of that expectation, whether it's Dave Roberts or Ryan Day this year, that pressure cooker gets heated up even more.
It's the same exact thing. So, like, that's the thing that I really wanted to highlight here. But Joe, I'm entirely with you. Like, what is Dave Roberts really going to do here in a bullpen game? Like, is he going to start Kopech? No, I don't think so. Right. It would be nice to kind of have a tone setter right away. I was of the thinking that they should probably just start Knack. And if he gives you a shutout first, you run him out there for the second. And if he gives you a shutout second, you run him out there for the third, because you can effectively use that as a starting pitcher. Now, Knack was the first guy out of the bullpen. It didn't work very well. I mentioned this on the Just Baseball show for today. I think Alex Vesia not being in there is going to really hurt the Dodgers at some point. That's a lefty reliever that has been one of the best in all of baseball. The fact that they cannot turn to him might be detrimental. But, it was It was a tough situation that Dave Roberts found himself in. I do like that they went with the bullpen day that day as opposed to the Buehler start on normal rest. They give Buehler 2 more days rest. And the bullpen day makes a lot of sense because A, you didn't use any of those low lever or the high leverage arms in game 1. Yeah. And B, you have the off day following that. So that was the right day to do the bullpen thing. I do think that it was correct in theory, maybe poor in execution from Dave Roberts yesterday.
So, Jack, we appreciate your insight always, not just because you know baseball better than most, but we had you here in the start. No. I'm highlighting why. You were here when we started this Paul Skeens sensation. In Skeens Day, you called his outings in Indianapolis in AAA ball. And at Just Baseball Media, you guys have had Walker Buehler be a co-host, be on shows, open up dialogue with you as he recovered from Tommy John. It's been an incredible 2 years for Walker Buehler to get back even to this point, to return to MLB in 2024. It has been a struggle, as you well know. And the Dodgers are a slight favorite in Game 3 on the road in Queens tomorrow, and Walker Buehler gets the start. So you have that unique perspective. What does Walker describe to you guys at Just Baseball Media about his road back and the confidence that he feels at this point?
Well, this is a guy that is never going to shy away from a big moment. I think he's made that abundantly clear in his career. And, you know, I thought that NLDS start against the Padres was pretty darn telling, to be honest with you. Like, this guy gritted and grinded through that outing. And a 6 spot went up against him, and there were some defensive miscues, yada, yada, yada. He came back. He had shutdown inning after that crooked number. I think this guy is hyper competitive, which is exactly what you need. This guy was one of the best pitchers on the planet before his second Tommy John surgery. Simply put, like, he's trying to find his elbow again, frankly. And, like, his body changed a little bit. So he you know, kind of rediscovered his body. He kind of thinned out from some of his early starts this year. I think this guy is feeling as good as he has felt all season long. And you know he's going to try to match this moment, man. Like, he's Walker Buehler. Those postseason numbers are really good.
Baseball in New York City. Game 3 tomorrow in Queens. Game 2 tonight in the Bronx. We look at the ALCS with Jack next. Guardians, despite being at home in the land, were a home underdog against Tarek Skubal. Enter Lane Thomas, maybe one of the under-the-radar trade deadline acquisitions being dealt from the Nationals. He was huge in the ALDS.
A heavy favorite for the New York Yankees in the series. You're going to look to their best 2 ball players to be those MVPs. That's Juan Soto and it's Aaron Judge.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
You can't sometimes look at the point spreads and just, understand what they mean. Because going into the game, you're looking at it, it's like, okay, Denver's playing better football. They won a couple in a row. Now they're going back home.
The Broncos have to turn around and play on a short week. Sean Payton is returning to New Orleans. The Saints just gave up almost 600 yards of offense to the Buccaneers. So it's going to be interesting kind of gut check.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
With great pressure comes great responsibility, and the Yankees answer the call in game number 1 of the American League Championship Series last night in the Bronx inside Yankee Stadium against the Cleveland Guardians. 5-2 the victory, Jack, for the Pinstripes in game number 1 of the ALCS. Carlos Rodon, sensational. Juan Soto and Giancarlo Stanton continue to deliver. Heck, even Aaron Judge, an RBI sac fly last night in game number 1. What impressed you the most out of the Pinstripes' performance in the opening game of the ALCS?
It was the lefty that you're seeing on the screen right now, man. As simple as that. I love the Soto homer. The Stanton homer is great, and playoff Stanton is a thing. You look at his OPS over the course of his postseason career, it's over 1,000. This guy, I think, has a 1009 OPS. He has been amazing, but it is the lefty, Carlos Rodon. The way that I put it on today's show was this was a put-up-or-shut-up start for Carlos Rodon after bouncing around on the hill in the first inning of his start in the ALDS against Kansas City and then getting racked after that. And guess what? Like, he put up. You can put up. That's one of the options in a put-up-or-shut-up game. And he totally did that. He was cool. He was calm. He was collected. He got that first punch out. He was racking up whiffs, and he wasn't sticking his tongue out. He wasn't bouncing around. He wasn't, cracking a smile to every infielder. He said, you know what? Like, I got burned last week. Let's not do that again. And the fact that he piled up 25 swings and misses yesterday, I've got the list. It was tied for, I think, the 4th most swings and misses in a postseason start since they started tracking that. That is the pitch tracking era. Yeah. Garrett Cole, the Houston Astro, 33 swings and misses in the 2019 ALDS. Tim Lincecum got 31 in 2010, and Zach Wheeler had 30 last week in Game 1 of the NLDS. But, Rodon just entered that elite of company where nobody was touching him, and it was Whiff City. It was domination from him, and that was so important. And the moment that you start to feel the heat, the Yankees are turning to their new closer, man. They've got a guy. Clay Holmes had some volatility there, but all of a sudden, Luke Weaver might be the Yankee closer, which is crazy because he was cast aside by Arizona, he was cast aside by Cincinnati and by Seattle in 2022. And I mean, they found something here. That's abundantly clear.
It's interesting. If there's any silver lining, right? Cade Smith, Herron, Gaddis, Class A didn't have to be used last night, so the arms are fresh for the Guardians. The bad news is it's still the middle of their order was 0 for 11 last night, I believe, with Thomas and Ramirez and Naylor. Yeah, and now you got to go up against Cole. So how does this game shape out, do you think, here tonight? Ace versus ace.
I'm really excited for it. I think this is going to be theater, man. And I feel like, understandably, it's skewed towards the Yankees here because Cole was the best pitcher on the planet coming into this year, and he's a top 5 pitcher in Major League Baseball to go into next year as well. But don't sleep on Tanner Bybee. Bybee is really good. I have no idea how long the leash is going to be for Bybee. Is it going to be 4? Is it going to be 6? I would like to see 6, but you've got the off day, and you mentioned, Joe, you have that big 4 of Smith, Herron, Gaddis, Class A, turn to them. The script that I feel like Stephen Vogt would build for this game is Bybee gives him 5, and then you go to Herron for the 6th, Cade for the 7th, Gaddis for the 8th, Class A for the 9th. And all those guys get an inning of work. You go into the off day, and then you try to run it back in Cleveland. I feel like that is the way that they are going to approach this. We'll see what happens if the Yankees slap 2 on Bybee. I could see Vogt pulling an early plug on Bybee. I don't think that is the right decision here because Matt Boyd went 2 in his final start. And Alex Cobb, it's kind of it's a fight to get to 3 with Cobb. You have a guy that's really good in Tanner Bybee. Let him try and work 5 innings at 2-run ball, and I hope that he does.
Tanner Bybee started both games 1 and 4 in the ALDS against the Tigers. The Guardians won both of those games. He allowed just 2 earned total runs in 8 2/3 innings of work. So it is an aces affair today in the Bronx. Of course, Garrett Cole delivered in Game 4 when the Yankees needed it most to clinch the American League Division Series against the Kansas City Royals. Again, that is the pitching matchup today. Jack, the Yankees are a hefty favorite with Cole on the bump. They were greater than a $2 favorite yesterday to win Game 1. They do so. They're a minus 360 favorite to win the American League pennant, to win their first pennant in the American League in 15 years since their last World Series championship in 2009. We have talked about a favorable path for New York. We have talked about the pressure that ensues with that perceived favorable path. How long will this American League championship set go against Cleveland?
I have 5. I know a couple of my co-hosts have 6. Soto is Soto, and playoff Stanton is a thing. And Aaron Judge, I do think that the struggles are over-documented, if that's a thing. I mean, this guy, I understand that the numbers do not look that good this postseason. But at the end of the day, nobody's really pitching to him because they know that Aaron Judge hitting 133 in the postseason or not could be the guy that hits a ball 470 off of them at the wrong time. So I do think that this lineup is running laps around the Guardians lineup. But I love Jose Ramirez, and Lane Thomas has had a heck of a postseason, but you cannot look at the starting 9 for the Cleveland Guardians and the starting 9 for the New York Yankees and tell me that they look the same. And I love the Cleveland bullpen. You got to have a lead to hand it off to the Cleveland bullpen. And I have no idea if they're going to be able to do that, more than twice.
Yep. And the bullpen right now for the New York Yankees, Luke Weaver in the back end, man. A 5-out save, as you alluded to, Jack, to end out Game 1. They have found their closer. All 4 playoff wins for the Yanks. Luke Weaver has recorded the save and shut the door. Not listed on the ALCS MVP odds. What are we doing, FanDuel Sportsbook? Get him up there. He deserves to be in consideration. Jack McMullen, our MVP for playoff baseball. Joe loves this love affair that we have given out here on this Tuesday on the early line. Jack McMullen from Just Baseball Media, we appreciate your time. Thanks for being here.
Ben Stevens, I will always get up early for you, man.
And that goes for you too, Jordan. Don't forget, enjoy Arizona. We end out hour 2 next. Guardians, despite being at home in the land, were a home underdog against Tarek Skubal. Enter Lane Thomas, maybe one of the under-the-radar trade deadline acquisitions being dealt from the Nationals. He was huge in the ALDS.
A heavy favorite for the New York Yankees in the series. You're going to look to their best 2 ball players to be those MVPs. That's Juan Soto and it's Aaron Judge.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
You can't sometimes look at the point spreads and just, understand what they mean. Because going into the game, you're looking at it, it's like, okay, Denver's playing better football. They won a couple in a row. Now they're going back home.
The Broncos have to turn around and play on a short week. Sean Payton is returning to New Orleans. The Saints just gave up almost 600 yards of offense to the Buccaneers. So it's going to be interesting kind of gut check.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
The month of October, man, in the sports calendar, there is just so much going on. We've talked MLB playoff action, a new week in the NFL after Week 6 comes to a close. College football news and more college football early line handicaps in hour number 3. How about the men's college basketball AP Top 25 preseason poll released yesterday, Joe, 3 weeks before the college hoop season gets underway. For a second consecutive year, Kansas atop the country in the preseason AP poll. Kansas last year, though, after being ranked preseason number 1, 23-11, just 10-8 in the Big 10-8 in the Big 12, and bounced from the second round of the NCAA tournament. 5th time for KU, being ranked number 1, 4th most ever in the history of college basketball, behind UNC Duke and Kentucky. A lot of Big 12, Joe, in the top 5. 3 of the top 5 teams, including Houston and Iowa State. Half of the top 10 from the Big 12. A lot of reactions to delve into here in the preseason AP Top 25. What was your main takeaway?
Well, yeah, I mean, you mentioned the Big 12, but how about 9 SEC teams ranked in the top 25 as well? Bama, Auburn, Tennessee, A&M, Arkansas, ironically enough, all ranked ahead of Texas, which is interesting. And by the way, I didn't say Kentucky, right? You got Florida, Kentucky, Ole Miss, all set to be pretty good. Boy, there's a lot of basketball between the Big 12 and the SEC. These are some quality teams. But, of course, it's Cooper Flagg and Duke I am most interested in watching this year here, Ben. Who I think coming in at what, number 7? That's a little underrated as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, that's underrated.
Listen, Cooper Flagg is that guy, the already perceived number 1 pick in the 2025 NBA draft. 5 of the top 18 recruits in the 2024 class, all playing this year for John Shire and Duke. The Blue Devils are absolutely loaded and highly touted. Easy then to hate, but that just is my perspective. And that's the biggest difference, Joe, from the AP Top 25 and the AP and the College Basketball National Championship odds. Duke is the preseason favorite at plus 950 and yet checks in at number 7 in the AP poll. How about that guy? Dan Hurley and his Connecticut Huskies, the 2-time reigning champions in the sport. They check in at number 3, looking to do something in men's college hoops we have not seen since 1973 when John Wooden would walk in Westwood. That is a 3-time back-to-back-to-back national champ. UConn, 11-1. 4th best price entering this season. Joe, we have reached a stage in our lives where Alabama basketball is ranked ahead of Alabama football currently, either in where things stood or even in the preseason polls. The Crimson Tide, number 2, with all that Nate Oates returns. Mark Sears is back in Tuscaloosa. It is the highest Alabama has been ranked in the men's basketball AP Top 25 in the preseason. Previous high was number 7 way back in 1990-91, nearly 3.5 decades ago.
Well, listen, you know that there's not going to be a shortage of three-point shots there with Alabama. But can we all just discuss the elephant in the room? Calipari at Arkansas this year should be extremely interesting here, Ben, don't you think? Especially all the recruits he brought over from Kentucky. This should be an interesting year.
The strength of the SEC, 9 SEC programs, as Joe alluded to, in the AP Top 25, the most of any league in the country. Arkansas is 16. Kentucky is 23, with Mark Pope taking the reins for Big Blue Nation in Lexington. How about that team at the bottom of the list? Your family, your religion, and Rutgers basketball. A new era in Piscataway with Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey, 2 of the 3 best recruits nationally in this class of 24, now take over a promising program on the banks of the Raritan. Joe, Purdue no longer has Zach Edey, the highest-ranked Big Ten team, but not in the top 10. How about that for the Big Ten? Indiana ranked in the preseason poll for the first time in a couple of years. Should be a good year in Bloomington. UCLA, a new Big Ten team, rounds out those 4 Big Ten programs in the top 25. Again, college basketball gets underway in now less than 3 weeks. 3 weeks from yesterday. Hour number 3 on the other side here on TEL.